Thanks for joining us again. Matty, Jared, back together. A bit of I wouldn't say a surprise, but a film I haven't seen in a long, long time. This episode. 1984's The Toxic Avenger. Jared, I believe, or was it Matty? Did you throw this one up?
No, Matty tossed it out. Like it popped up on Tubi, so it had passed my gaze, but I wasn't brave enough to throw it out until Matty said, "Hey, how about Toxic Avenger?" Okay,
you jumped up.
I did. I said, "Oh,
you did not need a second fucking notice." Speaking of Tubi, Jared, while we were trolling for films to watch, it would seem that Tubi's got a movie that's got fucking Dog the Bounty Hunter starring in it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I thought it must have been made back when he was, pretty big, back in the mid-2000s. No, it was made in 2020.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Let me tell you, I saw this one pop up on Facebook that was like... So I think it involved Felissa Rose, but then... Here comes Bret Hart for a little bit of an acting role as well. And next thing you know, that popped up on Tubi. I'm like, oh shit, I can't do it just yet. But now that the more you talk about it, the more I hover over the play button. Want to have a look. Want to have a look at it.
Tubi's become a bit of a hunting ground for you, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, they filled a couple of gaps. They filled a few gaps of things that we were waiting for on something like Shudder, and in came Tubi and swooped, and then they got all the full moon pictures and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I was frequenting it quite regularly. Still am, but it's not as much.
I chucked Problem Child on.
Yeah, Problem Child. Well, they just got The Revenant. They just got Child's Play, one of the Child's Play movies. So they're starting to put a few things on there that are worth watching. The Negotiator, I think, I've probably got that cheap given Kevin Spacey's form lately, but...
There's definitely some fodder for the podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
Of course.
I mean, Tiny Tim, you can't go past Tiny Tim, so...
But let's be honest, whoever's running Tubi is doing the right thing. You take what you can get. You pick niche markets. You get whatever you can bring in the door that will get people to put their eyes on it.
Well, they filled a bunch of that video store shelf stuff in that we'd been trying to find. A couple of random little slashes, some that aren't all that crash hot, but a few that hold an interest. So yeah, I think they're doing quite well. And interestingly enough, Shudder has started to grab. You may laugh, but Subspecies just showed up on Shudder. A couple of other full moon features have just showed up on Shudder as well. So it's sort of like what. As I said, I thought that was what they should have been doing. I know Shudder's whole thing is it's curated, but I mean, shit, I'll watch anything. So you don't have to curate it too much.
The 10-second KFC ad, I almost bought some in solidarity. Just to let them know how appreciative I was that I could see Toxic Avenger for free.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you, KFC. I'll have 6 Wicked Wings if you don't mind.
12.
All right, let's quickly run through what we've been watching. Jared, what did you have on the agenda? Considering you two blokes are on holidays, I expect a bit of content.
Yeah, well, not much for me because I was kind of on family stuff over Easter, so I didn't get as many films in as I would have liked. But I got to Creepazoids finally.
Finally.
Finally?
Thank you, Judy. Thanks, Judy. So yeah, that was kind of funny. It's basically like, how do you make Alien but on Earth and with no money? But yeah, it was.
Jared? I've always wanted to know.
Curiosity killed the cat. I think I've used up all of my 9 lives if that's the case, but I don't know if I mentioned it, but I started watching. Well, I watched Lake Placid because our friends at Nostalgia Be Damned actually covered it, and I thought, shit, I haven't watched that in years. So it was on Foxtel, so I jumped on, had a look, and then listened to the gents kind of cover over it. Yeah, I didn't mind it. It's pretty run of the mill, and as the fellas mentioned on their episode, the characters are all bastards. Like, you don't really care for any of them, but it was an enjoyable thing to go back to. And I'd never really kind of noticed, but there's about fucking 5 sequels now. Like when I was looking to find it, I always knew there was 2 and 3, but there's fucking Lake Placid Legacy and there's Lake Placid versus Anacondas, like fucking all sorts of shit. So hopefully that doesn't pop up on streaming because I'll find myself watching it, but none of them are easily accessible at the moment, so that's probably saved me there. I got onto the Spider-Man movies that I hadn't watched in the lead up to No Way Home, because I picked up No Way Home on Blu-ray and watched it with my son, so we ended up watching Spider-Man 3, Amazing Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2 and No Way Home again. No Way Home, I really enjoyed it again. I think it's just kind of the peak of what they've done with the Spider-Man stuff.
Agreed.
It was really interesting going back and watching the Amazing Spider-Man, because you know, Adam, and I think I've mentioned on here, I fucking hated 2 when I watched it the first time. And I believe I described it to you as Jamie Foxx's performance was career destroying, I think was the way I put it to you. The funny thing is, I still think, like watching the first one again, I quite enjoyed the first one, and I think Andrew Garfield is the best Spider-Man. Even though Tom Holland fits the mold, I just really like Andrew Garfield. And the Andrew Garfield Emma Stone stuff is spot on. They're fucking fantastic together. Part 2's probably a little better than I remembered, but not so great. But yeah, it was good to go back and watch them. I do enjoy Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. I watched Death on the Nile, which popped up on Disney Plus. Yeah, not great. It's not bad. You get what you expect, but I mean, Gal Gadot, I think I've said it already. I don't need to say it anymore. She's just no good. and
just not an actress's backside?
No, I don't think so. And look, watching Armie Hammer kind of gyrating and rubbing up on girls on the dance floor is a little uncomfortable these days. So
yeah.
I don't need to be saying that.
No.
A little bit flatter than Murder on the Orient Express. So, yeah, you know, if you like that one, you'll get enough out of this one, but I didn't love it.
I'll tell you what, Kenneth Branagh must have been fucking thinking he'd been cursed, because when Orient Express came out, Johnny Depp was in the shit his missus, and now he fucking releases Death on the Nile, and Armie Hammer's in the poop, and so the press is all shit house on it.
Yeah, well, when you've got two...
What have we got wrong?
When you got 2 people in the film that are spouting anti-vax conspiracies and they're the least of your troubles, that's probably says it all,
exactly.
Exactly. I got onto one on Amazon called The Voyeurs, which has been on there for a while, and I've passed over it a couple of times, but it's got it's got Sydney Sweeney and the fella that was in, I think he was in the Jurassic World movie, Justice Smith, I think his name is. And they play a couple that moves into an apartment, and there's a bit of a rear window situation where they're kind of spying on a couple across the way. Yeah. And the couple's like, you know, they start spying on them when they're getting a little bit saucy in the other apartment, but then it gets onto cheating and things like that.
I'm going to hold you there for a second. Is this smut?
No. Well, there's a little bit of smut involved, but no. It was trying to paint itself. When you get down to the bones of it, it's trying to paint itself as this really artsy sort of commentary on what I got out of it was what we kind of do with social media and stuff like that, the way we kind of spy on other people's lives, but with this kind of detachment. But yeah, fuck, there was some twists going on that was just like, oh, Jesus Christ, you know. A couple were obvious, a couple were just like, nah, that's a bit silly. So, yeah, I don't think I could recommend it highly, but, you know, again, it's that situation where I had Amazon and it was there, so I turned it on.
Fair enough.
And I think Sydney Sweeney's a really good actress. I think, so that probably prompted me to flick on that. And the last ones I got to, Adam, I'm just running through the Kingsman series again, because I do recall that I was a little bit
awesome.
Yeah, well, the first one was great to go back to, although I still find Samuel Jackson a little bit much. I do love the guy, but he's a little bit much.
I've got question marks on why he went down that fucking path.
But the action, the way they shoot the action in it is awesome.
It's fully made up for with that blue in the church. where he just goes fucking off and starts killing everybody.
That's unbelievable. And the one in the pub as well, even though it's a smaller scale, that one's fucking awesome as well. Manners maketh mad, and then he starts fucking flinging pints and shit like that. I recall, the reason I went back to watch him is I recall me and you did kind of like a most anticipated, and I think I kind of said I'm not looking forward to the Kingsman prequel at all, but I hadn't seen the Golden Circle at that point, so I watched the Golden Circle. Not bad. I don't think it's as good as the first one, but it's the same sort of vein. They kind of continue the world building, a little bit of Channing Tatum, Adam, so you'd be all up for that.
I'm in. Yeah.
And I've just kicked off the Kingsman. So can't comment on that one just yet, but I thought I'd better, given that I'd said I was not looking forward to that one at all, I thought I'd better just give it a quick run through again. And I really enjoyed the first one. Second one was fun, so I'm actually, maybe I was a little bit harsh on the third one, but I'll report back and let you know how that one went.
Matty?
Yeah, my list isn't too exciting. I watched Gerald's game. I went back. I started it off and I wasn't into it, and then you guys recommended it, so I went back and I checked it out, and it wasn't too bad. I didn't mind it. It was okay. A bit more Cobra Kai. I started watching The Bubble, which is
I heard really bad things about that.
Yeah. I watched the first. It's meant to be. I watched the first like 40 minutes or something, and just switched it off because it was a waste of time.
Right. Okay.
It was horrible. A million cameos, but no script. It's just, I don't know why they make these things. I don't know why people put their names to it. And
I know why. Netflix gives you a fucking bag of cash and says, make this.
Yeah. I know, but
can we have you for 10 minutes? Here's a bag of cash.
Yeah. And maybe the ego of the actors. I can make this script good.
The Netflix offices are like an episode of bloody Underbelly or Blue Murder, where they walk around the office and start ham sandwiches and just start flinging bags to everyone.
I couldn't be bothered finishing it. That was horrible. I started, we watched, because we went to see Ronnie Cheng, and I watched some of his stand-up.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, a lot of it was repeated, but it was good.
Yeah.
Still good.
Funny man.
Yeah. Problem child, like I said before. Some pre-Seinfeld Michael Richards is pretty good. Him being a tough guy is great.
Better than post-Seinfeld.
That didn't go too well.
Post-Seinfeld Michael is a fucking must turn off.
That poor bloke. Imagine him trying to do stand-up. He's been considered one of the funniest characters of all time.
Yeah.
And then getting up in a stage when you're trying to make people laugh, it's just, you never had a hope.
Well, I can tell you this much. Don't use racial slurs.
That would be a start, probably.
He took it to a dark place, didn't he?
They'll think I'm funnier if I don't insult them with really, really fucking foul insults.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Good one, dickhead.
Yeah. And then I started watching a show called Game Face, which is it's got one of the characters from Afterlife in Ricky Gervais' show. And she's put together a show where she's sort of like a hopeless romantic, but still has a heart in the right place, sort of thing. And it's not too bad. It's not Gervais level comedy, but pretty sad list, isn't it? I should have watched at least 4 Toxic Avengers.
Yeah, you need more full moon features.
Exactly.
Creepazoids, get on.
You should have watched the entire Subspecies fucking series.
I had time when I was away, and I left my phone at home, and so I went. I had an unintentional
impromptu detax by accident.
Yeah, media detox. I didn't get to watch anything.
Oh well, it's probably good, mate.
I will not stand for the trashing of the Subspecies series.
Oh, look, don't worry, Jared. I'll be fucking watching it. Don't worry. It's not like I'm sitting here going, oh, no, I'll never watch that. I'm too highbrow for that stuff. Come on.
Yeah, we know.
It's only a matter of time. Okay, so what I didn't watch a lot either. We watched the next 3 episodes of the Hardy Boys, which isn't too bad.
Any ghosts yet?
No, we're still on fucking firm human ground.
We need a couple
At this
of goes.
stage, I'm pretty happy.
I mean, we're getting to. It's a little bit boring when it's just people, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. And so I'm assuming that's why the second season has decided to pivot to supernatural territory. Shit.
That's right. You don't rate when you just have a good human mystery.
Yeah, exactly. I watched You Might Be the Killer.
Yep.
Yeah, really good idea. Execution is terrible. It got a couple of gags going early on, but they give away the kind of the gist of it too early.
Yeah.
So I kind of found it kind of boring once that happened. So for 50 minutes, I was kind of twiddling my thumbs just watching it.
And as I said,
and again, supernatural.
I think what they run with is too niche. Like they start with the camp slasher tropes, but then what they decide on is just too niche, and it takes it away from the camp slasher stuff.
Correct. So I was pretty disappointed. And the last one is, I wanted to see this for a while. I watched Overlord.
Yeah.
On Amazon Prime.
Thoughts? Because I was a big
really
fan.
Liked it.
Yeah, I
loved it. I thought they did a really good job.
Yep.
And fuck, mate, Kurt Russell's son is just an absolute fucking mirror image of the bloke.
Yeah. Yeah, especially when they do
see him in The Thing.
Yeah. Yeah, when they do him up in, if they go to the effort of making him look like Kurt Russell too, like if you go for the same kind of, haircuts and shit like that.
No sleeves.
He's bang on.
No. I mean, if there's a Tango and Cash remake in the works...
Oh, of course there will be.
Wyatt Russell is fucking definitely in. Surely.
Is it Next Generation? Tango and Cash, the Next Generation?
God!
Can have him.
Fuck knows what it's going to be about.
Have him opposite
I still
the
don't know
Rock
what the
in
original's about.
Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah, that's the way to go.
And that was it for me, though.
Adam, I also had one thing to briefly mention, very briefly.
Mm-hmm.
I got my Halloween 5 Special Edition 4K, which comes with the newly reconstructed Dr. Death intro. So I didn't put myself through the entire film again, but I watched the Dr. Death intro finally after all these years. Because, we'd heard about it for so long, and then all of a sudden you get a quick picture. Oh, here's a picture of the famous Dr. Death intro, and now I've actually seen it.
And how was it?
Shit. No, look, it's... As I said to you, it's... I love it when they can kind of dig something like this up and chuck it on a Blu-ray, because it's just been talked about for forever, but it was lost and all this sort of stuff. And there was no audio. I think they had to redo the audio. They had to splice in stuff from the intro that we know on the film, the reshot one, to kind of fill some gaps. But it's awesome. It's awesome that we get access to this stuff and they find it and they go to the lengths of fucking baking videotapes so that we can watch it and things like that. But at the end of the day, I mean, what could you possibly do to fix Halloween 5 in 2 minutes of footage? How could you possibly fix that film? As I said, I think I briefly mentioned it to you. The guy looks like an extra from fucking Mad Max. And he's fucking giggling. He's giggling and doing voodoo and all this sort of shit. So, yeah, it was pretty bad. But it was cool to see.
And the gist was still the same as the original opening. Michael had been laying there on the fucking couch for
on the slab for a year. And looked like he had not missed a gym session. Let me tell you, there was no atrophy to be seen. But yeah, it was essentially the same. Just the character was, instead of the old man, he was a giggling bloody voodoo practitioner.
Yeah, I think I won't. I'll keep my hard-earned cash in my wallet for that. I think.
Yeah.
One other thing I forgot too, and I was just watching it before I came in here. I watched the first episode of the John Wayne Gacy tapes that was released today. It's by the same people who made the Ted Bundy ones.
Right.
It's on Netflix.
Yep.
Yeah, look, it was all right, but, you know.
Not turning you around on your Netflix true crime stance?
Look, this one's a bit more straightforward, so it's not sort of hamstrung by some of the shit that they've produced in other ones, but it's a bit like the Ripper one. It's not really, it's just kind of very sort of by the numbers. They're not doing anything specific with it other than the fact that we have him talking.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
And that was kind of what went on with the Bundy one, is you had them talking on tape.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still pretty standard stuff.
Yeah.
And this one's only 3 episodes. So, you know, maybe it'll be all right. But again, I look at some of these and I think, well, do we really need that extra hour?
Yeah. True.
But that's it. That's everything from me. All right, let's take a break. Here is the trailer for 1984's The Toxic Avenger.
Meet little Melvin. He's a 90-pound weakling. Everyone hated Melvin.
Yeah, I'm gonna take this mop and shove it down your throat.
They teased him.
I want to do it with you. Okay.
They taunted him. They tormented him until he had a horrifying accident and fell into a vat of nuclear waste. Transforming little Melvin into a hideously deformed creature of superhuman size and strength. Melvin became the Toxic Avenger. The first superhero born out of nuclear waste.
Holy shit! I don't know what it was, but it saved my life. All right, everybody, drop your tacos or I'll blow your brains out.
The vandals and the perverts had their way with the little people of Tromaville until the Toxic Avenger ripped them apart. The Toxic Avenger. His face is so terrifying. We can't show it to you now. You'll have to see the movie for yourself. The Toxic Avenger can bend steel with his bare hands.
Oh, we're all a kid. Get it?
Leap small cars in a single bound. He crushes drug pushers. Smashes hit-and-run drivers. For incredible explosive action, you must see the Toxic Avenger. He's a different kind of hero. The Toxic Avenger is coming to your town. Look out.
The Toxic Avenger from 1984. Directed and produced by Michael Hertz, who produced Sergeant Kabukiman NYPD, and Lloyd Kaufman, who directed Shakespeare's Shitstorm. Jesus Christ. I'm sorry. Story by Lloyd Kaufman, screenplay by Joe Ritter, who wrote Hostile Takeover, and in additional material by Lloyd Kaufman, Gay Partington Terry, and Stuart Struton. It stars Andrew Miranda as Sarah, Mitch Cohen as the Toxic Avenger, Jennifer Baptiste as Wanda, Cindy Mannion as Julie, Robert Pritchard as Slug, and Mark Torgy as Melvin. The budget was $475,000. The box office was $800,000. And future Oscar winner Marissa Tomei is an extra in the film.
Yeah, wasn't she the one spraying deodorant on herself when Toxie was doing something?
I mean, I wasn't looking closely to see where she was, but
I'm pretty sure that was her.
All right, I might go first here. This was a staple of my. This was a staple of my youth. I haven't seen it in a long, long time. Look, it's cheap and cheery. There's some really unsavoury shit in it that hasn't aged very well, but it's kind of like played for laughs, and it's kind of tongue-in-cheek, so I think it sort of gets away with some of that. Nothing's really off limits.
No.
They do squeeze a hell of a lot out of a very small budget. I ended up giving it 3. I kind of had fun with it.
Good.
What about you guys?
Matty, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I got a couple of laughs out of it, but it was so overacted. The plot is so simple that, and I obviously didn't have any nostalgia because I hadn't seen it other than the cartoon when I was a kid. So, I sort of was watching it with a different set of glasses to you. So, I'm like, would I ever want to watch this again? Probably not. Did I get a couple of cheeky laughs? Yeah, because I'm immature. But, I settled on it too.
Jared.
I never really landed in the Troma films camp. I'm more of a full moon features man, obviously, but yeah, I just never, like, Troma was always one where I felt they were marketing to kind of the angles that I was looking for in some instances, but that they always kind of pushed it a little too far, and I couldn't kind of shake the feeling that it was just for marketing's sake, like that you do some of the things that you do pushing the taste because you'll become that niche little production house, and that's how they got noticed.
I don't know, Jared. When I was a kid, I thought they were marketing to idiots. I was fucking right in the mix.
That's what
I was right there.
I did, I danced around that by saying the angles that I was looking for, basically saying, yeah, I'm an idiot. That's what I'm looking for. So, but this one, I like this one more than I haven't seen a lot of Troma pictures. I have seen things like Sergeant Kabuki Man and a couple of others, but
so you're the one who watched it.
Well, there was a stretch a couple of years back where they put their films on YouTube. So it was like Tubi before Tubi.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. You could watch some Troma flicks with a couple of ads. So that's where I got onto Sergeant Kabuki Man, and I can't remember what else I watched, but I haven't seen all of the Toxic Avengers. So I couldn't find Citizen Toxie I'll rephrase that. I would have had to pay for Citizen Toxie, and I didn't want to do that. But yeah, look, I enjoy this one. And full disclosure, the great man next to me has provided me with a bottle of Baron Samedi spiced rum, and I don't know whether, I think he's trying to just subtly tell me something about the type of people that drink Captain Morgan and steer me in a classier direction. But I had a couple of glasses of the Baron and Coke while I was watching, but I landed on a 3 as well.
Oh, God.
Look, there was points of it that went too far, and I think that's what I'm talking about. What Troma does is they just push a couple of these things, so they'll be the ones where, this is the movie with that scene where something happens that's just too much, but it'll be talked about.
There's some nice nods in there to other stuff, though.
Yeah. Overall, though, I think the actual character is, the look of it's kind of iconic. They fucking landed, as you said, Adam, cheap budget. They landed on a really good look for the character, and it's kind of this nice mix of slasher and superhero. Like when the parts that I think they get right with Toxie are a bit like a Jason kind of sequence and things like that, but he's the good guy, which at that point, that's what people were coming around to. That's what they were going to some of the horror flicks for and that sort of thing. So I like that. I kind of like, I think the over-the-top elements work on occasion, the whole Tromaville vibe to it and the cartoonishly ridiculous people in the movie. I think they work to an element. But yeah, I think the big thing for me is, and I think you were kind of similar, Adam, is that they push it too far at points, and when I look at why they do that, I just can't get past, you make a cheap movie and you want to get it talked about, which is, look, it's smart business, and Lloyd Kaufman's been doing it for nearly 50 years and still doing it with minuscule budgets, so I can't fault the man for that. I guess he's made quite a successful go of it, but when you're looking at it just as a movie, some of it I do feel like it goes a little bit too far.
Yeah, I would agree. As far as kicking off the likes is concerned, it's kind of got a goofy charm that I kind of appreciated. Things do go too far. Like, and I'm not... A lot of my dislikes relate to some of that shit, where I just think you went too far. But overall, because the tongue's in cheek, I kind of accepted some of it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say I laughed at it.
Yes, you did.
But I'm going to say, respectfully, I tittered
Never
a couple
proven?
of times. Yeah, I've never proven. There was no one there. But yeah, okay, look, I laughed a couple of times.
But I think
not gonna lie.
the cartoony style of the characters does sort of work. I mean, it's clear, they know it's over the top and ridiculous and parodying things like the police force and politicians and gym goers and all that sort of shit. So sometimes it does work. And I think the whole Tromaville vibe to it is probably one of the things that is good about the movie.
Yeah, I would agree. The FX, although fucking crude, a lot of them, quite a few of them are quite effective.
Mm.
I mean, none of it's. I mean, Tom Savini's not there.
No.
It's good and it's good enough for what you're trying to portray because you got your tongue in cheek and you're playing that cartoonish vibe. The special effects don't have to be outstanding.
Yeah.
But they need to be decent enough, and they do a decent enough job.
Yeah, they're pretty solid. And again, budget. When you look at what they've made for what the money they spent, it's pretty impressive.
There's a lot of scenes in there with something going on. Like
Yeah.
You've got Toxic Avenger becoming Toxic Avenger with in the bath. That's kind of cool. The skin's bubbling and it actually looks pretty cool. Yeah. You've got the bubbling toxic waste going on. You've got hands in fryers. You've got heads being rolled over. You've got arms being ripped out.
Which the head, they pulled that off by putting a wig on a watermelon. That's how they did it. And it looks all right.
Yeah,
right.
It's not too bad.
Yeah, I think that's. I think they've done a pretty solid job there. And of course, I mean, it's kind of a Troma thing to blow up a car or have a car crash in the movie. They managed to pull that off pretty successfully too in the cash. I wonder if they had. I just quick side note. I listened to the audiobook of Charles Band's autobiography, and he was talking about it is kind of his low budget. Well, I'd say his low budget days. His whole career's been low budget days, but his early days of making low budget films, he was fucking buying cars and blowing them up, and then as time went on, he had years worth of fucking registration fees and shit that he hadn't paid. He was like, I didn't know I had to pay it. I blew the fucking car up, but nobody else knew the car wasn't fucking around anymore, and I hadn't fucking, I hadn't notified anyone, so all these fucking registration and insurance fees and shit came up.
At least he's got it documented when it's blown up.
Yeah, well, that's right. Just go and watch this picture and you'll see where that car is. But I wonder if Lloyd Kaufman had similar troubles.
Well, I love the fact that the car they're buying up is fucking quite obviously an absolute beater.
Yeah.
They got from somewhere for a couple $100.
Yeah. Looked like one of the cars I was driving around in, in the uni days.
One of my first cars.
The old Pooh Brown Commodore.
78 Corolla 2-door. Fucking hell.
I had a vacation. Oh, that was good times.
Was that the one you drove into? Was that the one you drove into a boom gate, Adam?
Correct.
Yeah, they're pretty difficult to see, those boom gates.
You drove it into a boom gate at the mall. Good on you.
I had to suture the indicator of mine with 2 chopsticks. That was ripe for a Troma.
Yeah, just sell it to Lloyd Kaufman. They take it off your hands.
I'll tell you what I loved about my old car. The 78 Corolla 2-door. In the winter, she'd fucking freeze up. Like, the front windscreen would have like an inch worth of ice on it.
Yeah.
And so what the standard way of doing things to get it started was to pull the choke inside. It did fuck all. It was a waste of time.
Yeah. Oh,
Dad would be out there going, pull the choke. I'll be like, it's fucking frozen up.
You know, can I just tell you my favourite part of that story of you driving into the boom gate, Adam, was when you told me, after I did it, I just quickly looked around and made sure there was no one else there and chucked her in reverse. Just continued on my way.
Yeah, what though? There was people there, Jared.
On a side note, my car.
There was a
my
handful
car
of cars in the car park. Holy shit.
But that was the beauty of driving something like that. You didn't really give a fuck if you just crumpled in in the front of your car.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I'd cracked the windscreen, so I was.
Yeah, that's character.
It was basically undrivable.
Still good. Still good.
Yeah, I can still see. I've still got a clear line of sight above the crack. So I'm just going. Oh man.
And my personal favourite part of that entire situation was I chose not to tell my parents. So what I did is I pulled up. I came home late under the cover of darkness. The car with all the damage pointing away from the house. So, like no one would see it.
Yeah, of course, that'll do it. Jesus Christ.
Oh, fuck. Yeah. And then the first thing Dad says to me in the morning, what the fuck did you do to the car?
How did you handle that one? Did you just kind of say, what? I don't know. Nothing?
Yeah. I used
What are you talking about?
Yeah. I used the fucking age-old, I don't know what you're talking about.
Of course. Tried and true.
Oh, fuck. Let's get off my driving.
My car was so easy to break into. I just felt bad for whoever broke into it, though, because they would have been so disappointed sifting through all the crap that was in there and find a old watermelon or something in the back seat.
Yeah. Adam,
a couple of coins.
Not to extend it too long, but I believe I also used that same, I don't know what you're talking about, defense when one of my friends drove my car and drove it straight on a roundabout and fucking burst the tyre. And then proceeded to get home on the burst tyre. And my dad said, what happened to your wheel? I said, I don't know. What are you talking about? I know nothing.
You know what I also did though, Jared? I used the I don't know what you're talking about defence, and then when he basically corralled me outside to have a look, the shock and awe on my face as to how this occurred.
It was like the acting in a Troma film.
It was fucking Oscar worthy.
Oh wow. Excellent stuff.
Oh, I love it. Oh, let's not continue with that.
I would like to get to the part of the story where your dad removes half a boom gate from your car. It says, "Was this it?"
I believe I continued also for 6 months saying I don't know what happened. Yet I'd already told my brother. He'd already squealed
at that point.
We did. So,
You sang like a canary.
It was the Costanza web of lies I had going.
Was it really a web though, or was it just? I mean, you just basically you clammed up.
No, it was one strand.
Was it a boom gate of lies?
Yeah, it was one strand that led absolutely nowhere. It was consistently. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh God, Jesus! Look, just to let people know out there, I don't use that defence anymore. I don't believe it's.
Now, I mean, the occasion calls.
I've learnt the error of my ways on that.
Yeah, if the occasion calls for it, it still works in my experience.
All right, let's get back to the movie.
Yep.
Still in the toolkit when I need it. The opening scene in the health club, good for a couple of giggles. It's obviously a piss take on that cult, that sort of gym culture.
Yeah.
And I must admit, I had to laugh. It just seems to be like a massive group of people randomly squeezed into this tiny room full of weights and fucking machines.
Yep.
I mean, there's a woman skipping down the centre of the corridor. Just like there's not room to swing that, love.
No. I actually thought the funniest part for me was the woman that looks like, I can't remember what she's doing. It looks like she's on the bloody squat rack or something, but there's some bloke behind her that's just bloody feeling her up and basically getting it on while she's getting a workout. I don't know why that particular one made me laugh, but I did get a few chuckles
If
out
the
of
gym
that.
was like that, I would have gone heaps. There was two girls that they both looked like Rebel Wilson.
I also like the fact that Lloyd Kaufman kicks us off with a woman using a pec deck, and then we just zoom in closer and zoom in closer while she uses the pec deck for about 4 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, look, you're obviously you're going down a certain route, aren't you?
Well, he was just moving out of smutty comedies at that point, wasn't he?
Yeah, true. I believe it was Troma's house at Toxicville.
Yes, yeah. Because the smutty comedies weren't quite doing it, but obviously, you don't forget your roots. You continue along that path.
You keep the smut, but you add violence.
Yeah, that's right. Of course.
Look, the movie is a little bit lackluster until Toxie appears and starts dishing out a little bit of justice.
Yep.
When he beats all those blokes up who are trying to hurt the copper,
Yeah.
that's a solid scene. And look, talk about testicle trauma. When you dump a guy face first into a garbage bin and then use his ball bag like a speedball.
Yeah.
You've got me giggling.
Yeah, I laughed at that. And I also laughed when they I can't remember whether they cut away or they just moved to a different shot, but then they go back to the trash can, and rather than the speedball, he's still laying into it, but he gives him a couple of real kind of haymakers to the quads. Yeah, nothing like punching a bloke in the plums multiple times to get me laughing and get me on board with what you're going for there. But yeah, I think, punching the guy's nose off, that's exactly what works in the movie. Like, it's so over the top that that little section there is kind of an example of what I felt worked for the character in the movie. It's kind of that revenge element / superhero, but he's, like I said, he's doing slasherish kind of things and acting like, Jason would. Jason's
poking people's eyeballs out.
Yeah. Doing things like that I think, I like that scene. Yeah.
Agreed. Quick one, and I've got it in the likes, I'm not really sure why, but how's a party at the mayor's place? It's just 3 fat guys sitting around talking and 2 random women in lingerie dancing
Just
in the
kind
background.
of jiggling.
I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what was going on there, but I probably would have turned up and hung around.
Yeah, as long as the mayor didn't have a boom gate on his house, you would have been right, mate.
Yeah. After I've driven through his boom gate and then acted fucking ignorantly about
When security
just
walks
done
in
it.
and says, someone's just knocked the boom gate over, you'd be saying, oh shit, I didn't see it, I didn't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it must have been just before I got there.
Oh, you're a fucking idiot sometimes, aren't you? I think, look.
Guilty. Guilty as charged, thank you.
Yeah, there's no surprise the 2 people.
Go back and listen to episodes 1 through 325, and I'm sure you'll find a few more. My fucking stupidity.
It's no surprise which two people out of the 3 of us tonight gave it 3 out of 5. I think there's a common theme there. Oh shit! But yeah, I think the funny thing about that,
I'm not going to lie, I was itchy towards Snake Eyes.
yeah. I mean, if I was itchy again, I probably will. The thing about that though is like that stuff again kind of works. I mean, as you said, Adam, it's kind of funny and it's kind of simple and straightforward, but there's a running kind of theme through the whole thing of the authority figures and the businessmen and all this sort of shit. So it kind of works. It is simple and it's straightforward, but it kind of works. And as you said, you're kind of just laughing
Some
at
of the gags are good. The policemen all having a sandwich in the crime scene.
Yeah.
I got a great laugh from that.
Tacos and shit like that. Yeah, yeah. And the cop.
What do you got here? I've got a pizza with the lot.
And the the head policeman talking in a German accent and referring to the fucking mayor as Mein Kampf and all this sort of shit. I'm like, oh, okay, but we get what you're going for.
Yeah, we can't go. We couldn't go there now.
We sort of get what you're going for, and it's again, it was the mid '80s that he's going for this shit, and it's still kind of, you can say it's
it was
still
so shocking.
enough.
I was like, Hitler cop, what?
Yeah,
and then you couldn't get away with that now.
No.
And they kept it going too.
No,
the gag
God,
went
no.
throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
It sort of teeters on the edge of that loaded weapon sort of comedy where it's probably has influenced it a bit.
Spot on, Matty.
Mm.
It's kind of partially spoofing like that.
Yeah.
Like your Loaded Weapons or your Naked Guns or those sorts of films. But then it's jacks up the violence to a absurd level.
Yeah.
And then it includes,
it felt
all
like
these sort of
an extreme,
very untidy things.
Yeah. It was like an extreme episode of You Can't Do That on Television.
Yeah. It's got, like you said, it's got those spoof kind of elements of those other movies, but then it's just squashed right in with the exploitation movie stuff.
Yeah.
Like the B movie, exploitation movie, and without the highbrow humour of something like Loaded Weapon that, fart gags and shit like that gets
Of
me
course.
right in there.
Yeah.
Or my favourite Loaded Weapon gag, when Emilio Estevez turns to Samuel L. Jackson and says, "You came," and Jackson's response is, "That's personal." that kind of lowbrow sort of shit. It doesn't quite go there, but it's because it's. I think they're aiming the jokes and say this is a dislike or a like. It's really about personal taste, but. What Matty said before, and you guys were talking about how the cops like Hitler kind of thing. That's not like you're going a little bit outside of the spoof there. Like that's where you get into some comedy that's a little bit too dark.
Well, I thought that kind of stuff was right where this should be. Like where they were pushing, I thought that was kind of one of the milder elements. I mean, it's obvious, it's pretty rough, and it's pretty clear, but it's.
I guess when we see them running over people and that we're getting into some other things there later, and
well, that's
bring
kind
that
of
up. Yeah,
that's
I think
a little
some of
different to the cop though. If you stop at the cop, it's like, oh, you're pushing a boundary here, but I wouldn't say it's totally. But we could probably accept it. I mean, it is pushing into bad taste, but not to the point where I'm just looking at it going, fuck, we don't need that.
There's some uncomfortable stuff in here.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Now, this is my favourite sequence is in the taco place.
Yeah. Good.
I think that kind of works really well similar to that punch up in the alley.
Yes.
To just cater to the fact that, yes, graphic violence, but it's so silly that we kind of just we let it go.
Yeah, well, that's where it is, again, pushing the boundaries of taste, but
they stretch it out effectively though.
Yeah, absolutely.
That scene goes for a lot longer than it probably should.
And I mean,
they stretch out the tension as much as you could in that sort of a movie.
And a guy being beaten with his recently fucking ripped off arm and then stuffed in a pizza oven. I mean, that's where you should be pushing the taste. So, I'm right on board with you on those ones.
I actually surprisingly think that the fight that they have is actually pretty well done.
Yeah, it is.
Where the guy's got the nunchucks and the sword and everything like that. it's actually reasonably well shot under the circumstances of the kind of money you would have been using.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, Adam, is it in Toxic Avenger 2 where Michael Jai White shows up in one of these kind of sequences?
Does he?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Toxic Avenger 2 where there's a bit of a kind of throwdown like this and Michael Jai White's one of the goons.
Oh, okay.
I think you guys have next
check that out.
episodes.
It's on Tubi as well.
Wrapped up.
Yeah, that's right. There we go. We better sneak out number 2. If they chuck it on Tubi, I'm
It's there. It's there.
Yeah, I'm not paying for it.
They do a good job of setting that scene up with, you really hate the people in there. You shoot a dog, you're automatically in, these guys need to be sorted out territory.
Oh.
Yep. And there's, like, it kind of encompasses some of the shit that they do where I'm like, oh, that's too far. But they do really go, what can we do with these bad guys that is just the most despicable shit that you immediately are on the side of them getting their arms ripped off and shit like that.
How bold was the guy? You can have our money, just leave us alone.
Yeah, yep.
Let's shoot him.
But yeah, I think
he gets
this
shot.
is the sequence where it's almost
like
bang
that.
on, where they go, you know, the shit that they're doing, you're just like, they're despicable.
Yeah.
And you kind of on board with what Toxie's getting up to.
Yeah. You're behind him.
Yeah.
In that sequence. Because of the way these guys are. A dislike for me, obviously, is, you monsters. You don't shoot a fucking guide dog.
No, don't do that. No.
Come on. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
I'm with you there.
We should have stopped short. Yeah. We don't need to see a guide dog get shot and then cut to the aftermath and the dog's obviously still alive.
Yes.
Just covered in guts.
Yeah. Good dog, though.
Come on, fellas.
It did kind of play dead for a couple of seconds there.
Yeah.
You know, I was just going to say, I kind of love Toxie's voice post-transformation.
Yeah. I've got that as one of my likes.
He kind of sounds like a TV salesman or something like that.
Do you know who he sounds like? Chocolate Rain.
Oh, yeah. That's yeah, he does, actually. Does sound like a bit of Chocolate Rain. Yeah, so good. And the way he's kind of so super polite and stuff, but he
introduces himself to his mum as it's Melvin the mop boy. When he goes back to her at the door.
Yeah.
But he's got the deep voice. That was a good gag when the mum's out and he won't respond. She's like, are you okay in there? Are you okay in there? Are you all right? And then she goes, he's finally hit puberty.
Yeah. I really hope, now that you've said that, I really hope they get Chocolate Rain Dude to do his voice in the remake.
Oh, yeah, please do.
Awesome. That would be
please
awesome.
Do. That voice is spot on there.
Yeah.
That cracked me up. I got a good laugh from that.
Yeah.
There's a bit of comic genius that comes up for me. And look, again, it's not highbrow, but there's a sequence there when Sarah takes Melbourne back to her place.
Yeah.
And her first comment is, watch your step, Melbourne. Then fucking trips over it herself.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Then she gets her cane and hits him in the balls.
Yeah.
I thought you'd like that one.
I mean, there was part of me that was thinking, do we need the Mr. Magoo sort of comedy with the blind character? But then, as you said, Adam, as soon as she face plants, then hits him in the cods. I was just like, yeah, we do.
And then touches his dick.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the bit to top it all off, Matty. She does palm reading and mistakes his cock for his hand. Oh, God. Come on, fellas.
Yeah, good.
It's funny, though, it's low-hanging fruit.
Yeah. Pardon the pun there, like the baby's arm holding the apple at him, and low-hanging fruit on that one. But it's
well, it's a bowl of fruit.
It's the funny thing about those two is the relationship's kind of sweet. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah,
but it is kind of sweet the way that it's all going down. And then when again, cheap laughs, but I was all on board. When the pair of them are doing the deed, you get a shot of an old couple downstairs with fucking dust and debris.
That was great. sitting quietly doing next to each other. What did they do to anyone?
Shit. Yeah, they're just sitting on the couch, totally oblivious, and all this fucking dust is just dropping on their head. I'm like, oh man. Yeah. Or yeah, this is where the movie's right in the pocket.
You know what though? After traumatising his nutsack with her cane, they then have them having a lovely picnic where she fires a champagne cork in his nuts.
Well, I mean, if the gag worked well once and you've got a chance to kind of do it again, why wouldn't you?
Exactly, you do it. You don't think about it. You do it a second time.
It's just a comedy masterclass happening.
Yeah.
Like, how many times can we hit Toxie in the nuts?
This codpiece gets some significant trauma. For sure.
Oh, man. So good.
Yeah, he's definitely interested.
And again, in the same vein, Adam, I don't know why, but I fucking laughed very hard when Toxie's leaned up against the wall taking a slash, and it's like a stream of fucking toxic waste.
So I was concerned. That's like the age-old question: what does Superman's sperm? Does it ejaculate?
Yeah.
I was like, if that's what his piss looks like, what's his jizz?
Yeah, we don't want to know. We don't want to know where that's going. Jesus Christ! Yeah, when it was, I couldn't help but burst out laughing when he's doing the old, it looked like a drunkard leaning against the wall and this stream of just green toxic shit. It's just everywhere. Oh, man.
For some reason, and I remember this death from back when I originally watched it, when he takes that guy and puts his head under the weight machine.
Yeah.
And just fucking caves it in.
Yep.
It's quite a nice piece of effects work as well.
It is. Especially when they go back to it after he's got half a head and he's fucking wriggling and shit.
Yeah. So I think that's done pretty well. And then there's basically just a slew of people getting killed in there, isn't it?
Yeah,
pretty much.
He puts that woman on the sauna, hot rocks, and all that sort of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Oh, dear.
I like that sort of sequence when he's chasing the girl down the stairs, down where the elevator is or whatever. That sort of felt a little bit like a Freddy movie to some extent. I was like, there's definitely a head nod here to horror, and they've done their homework. And it just sort of, I guess this sort of is a plus and a minus, but it's sort of, they do a good job with the horror side of stuff. And then they just completely undo it all with doing it. And they do at times a really decent job of the comedy stuff as well.
Yeah.
But I just didn't know where it sat. It just if they focus on one of those, maybe I'm too simple. I can't.
It was a little jarring
like that.
No, I know what you mean for sure.
Yeah. Oh, look, I got a decent laugh out of a bit of comedic. Do you think I look inconspicuous enough? Says Toxie as he walks down the street. In a long jacket, hat, and glasses, but still resembling a monster.
Yeah. Yep.
I was like, well played, mate. Well played. That was pretty funny.
I like the scene where he's surrounded by 6 dudes and they're like, we're going to tear you 6 new assholes. And then he just jumps out of the way and they all shoot each other. Yeah. Classic.
Straightforward. Did the job.
Very simple. You knew exactly what was going to happen and they executed it well.
Yes. And I did laugh more than I should have when he said the 6 new assholes.
The last one for me was you rip the mayor's guts out and dump it on him, dump it on top of him. I felt like that was a decent way to finish the film.
Yeah, fitting end.
Fitting end, yeah. And I kind of dug, and coming back to what you said before about the sort of the romance stuff that seemed really sweet, so did the whole idea that everyone would try and protect him.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
People that he'd helped. I kind of thought that kind of went well. Could have been really silly, but you'd already understood that he'd saved all these people's lives.
Yeah, that's right.
And it worked out all right.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that was, it was kind of cool how they kind of built it up throughout the movie and then brought a couple of the people back that he'd saved, those little montages kind of building up that groundswell of support for him.
Yeah. You've got to give him a point for being reflective after bundling the little lady into the washing machine.
Why am I laughing?
She had a playgirl.
Into the washing machine, and then he pressed her. It's a fucking press machine on a small. She was a little person.
Oh, fucking hell.
Again,
why am I laughing?
I like that they turned that into a piece of self-reflection. This is where we were teetering it too far.
Yeah.
And then it turned into the love story, got extended. I thought
but
that
then
was
it also turned into, she was bad anyway, so I could, that's why I'm laughing at it. Oh, yeah. That was, but no, that
she was a drug pusher or something, wasn't she?
Or people smuggler or something like that, yeah. But I think that like you said, because the movie was so down the line, something like that was kind of appreciated. The fact that he's sitting there going, "What am I doing? What am I?" Yeah. I like that. I like that too.
I think pressing a small lady in a fucking industrial iron press is possibly teetering on the brink and on the edge of a bit of bad taste.
That's what we said about, this is what Troma does. That's the whole thing, really. So, given the stuff that they'd already done, this one was just like, okay. Well, when he's doing it, you're thinking, what's going on? Like, she's just getting her bloody washing done. then after that, you kind of, they try to make you go back and say, well, it was all right because he's done all this stuff, but it is kind of ridiculous in the moment.
The other bit that I really liked was that they set it up really nicely. Was when he's about to get the blonde, and they set it up with that point of view camera shot that they've been using throughout the movie, and sneak up behind her. And then he pops out from under the bench, and she jumps and almost hits the roof.
Yeah. That was good, actually.
I laughed so hard at that.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any other likes?
No, I'm done as well there. I think that was pretty much it.
Okay. Dislikes. The acting is a disaster. I think we're back to getting out. We are getting our actors from Dracula's, Jared. We're definitely getting them from Dracula's.
Well, they might not have got to start at Dracula. Some of them.
Well, that fucking arsehole who continues to bloody scream and yell the whole time wouldn't get a gig at Dracula's unless he was washing dishes at the back.
Yeah. He's taking your orders at best.
Stop stressing him out.
Yeah, he was awful. And Melvin, wow. Melvin.
He's so happy with himself in the first scene. Surely he wasn't an actor.
Yeah. The poor bloke. Good stuff, Melvin.
I love the bit where they're playing racquetball and it just cuts back to Melvin pressed up against the glass. What are we doing here?
Yeah. There's no danger. Come awards season, you're not thinking about the latest Toxic Avenger movie. You're not looking over your shoulder thinking, shit, what Troma picture's gonna scare me come awards season?
The Razzies, maybe.
I tell you what, no, these guys are so bad they wouldn't even scoop the Razzies. Jesus.
Yeah, I guess it's a product of doing it super cheap, and the guy that's screaming and yelling or whatever. I'm not sure it's he's just doing what he's been told to do. Clearly, the role is just so ridiculous that he doesn't really have a chance to do anything other than fucking scream and yell at the camera or punch old ladies and things like that. Like, it's just
He did get one laugh out of me where fucking Melvin's writhing on the ground in agony from falling in some toxic waste, and his response is, if he can't take a joke, then he's an idiot.
Yeah. Classic prank, that one.
Yeah.
Classic stitch up.
Yeah, the old toxic waste break.
Yeah. It's not a huge dislike, but again, this movie is made so cheaply, and it's made in the kind of, the renegade, the guerrilla style somewhat. But again, Adam, it's clearly more based in New York than Jason Takes Manhattan was, and it still pisses me off. I can't get past it.
I know. A major studio couldn't get more than a couple of days. These guys got a fucking 3-week shoot or something there. Are you serious?
$500,000 squid as opposed to what? I think it was about 8 for Jason Takes Manhattan.
6 or something, or 8.
And they probably spent half of that on the bloody Times Square shoot, which is the best part of the movie. And then, we couldn't even do what these guys do, which is have New York just randomly in the distance. But I've got to get past
Skyline
that.
and stuff.
Every time I see a cheap picture made around this time frame that's clearly in New York, I just think, fuck, why? Why couldn't they do it? But anyway, I'll get over it one day.
Okay, this is where I feel bad taste is in full effect in the film. You're out driving to run people over. You've got a point system, thoroughly racist. The whole discussion about 25 points for every race known to man. And then we get told I believe at one point she says something about a mother with a newborn baby's 50 points or something. I was like, come on, fellas, this is too far.
Yeah.
And then when they run that kid over and then they back up over his head,
it's uncomfortable.
It is. I agree. I think that's where it pushes the boundaries just too much.
Like we said earlier, the girl's getting off on the photos of it as well.
Oh, dear. And, Matty, as our expert on uncomfortable, furious masturbation scenes, you probably...
I would definitely take a girl to a date for this movie and then realise after. I didn't realise the title didn't give it away.
I've made a mistake. It's just... This is the points where it just feels like it's just there for the sake of we're the movie that did this. And I just I don't see. I understand why they are going through the races and all that sort of thing, and it's just these are just the most despicable people you could put in this picture, and you want them to be taken care of and get their comeuppance, but I think you could have done it.
But we kind of already know that. You didn't need this bit.
Well, you did it. You
knew they were assholes.
You did it in the restaurant sequence reasonably successfully without going to these lengths.
Yeah. There's no one in this town that's a good person.
They shot a guide dog.
All dirt bags everywhere.
Yeah. But that whole sequence and the masturbation sequence
oh, God.
is just... And you know what? I don't know what's worse. The masturbating while looking at the photos or Jared telling Matty that he's our expert on furious masturbation. I'm still trying to I don't know how to take that if I were you, man.
We've all got our niche. I didn't even blink. I just took it.
I'd like to think my comedic sense was a little more obvious than it was in the movie for this particular kind of subject matter. Maybe I'm wrong there. Maybe I should be knocking on, submitting my resume to Troma and saying, "Hey, listen to this podcast. You reckon I'm your kind of person or what? You got a gig for me?
Don't even need $500,000.
I'll do it for free." Oh God!
As I said before. The guy shooting the guide dog, unnecessary.
Yeah, same vein as what we were just talking about.
Uncalled for.
That rape, the attempted rape on the blind girl was really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, I've made my feelings known on that sort of stuff as cheap devices in movies, and I don't think you can get any cheaper than Troma flicks in this regard.
Yeah. It's a double whammy because you shoot the dog and then you try and rape the girl.
Yeah.
That whole sequence there is bad. If it in the hands of someone was a touch more class, it could have been more that they threatened her. She's blind. She's concerned, because she can't see. and then the Toxic Avenger turns up and, you know, rips the bloke's arm off and beats him around the head with it. I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with shooting guide dogs and then threatening to rape people over tables and shit like that.
Yeah, in this kind of fare, like, I mean, I almost expected the guide dog stuff, so I can live with that. But the sexual violence stuff always makes me uncomfortable in situations like this because, like you said, you've already demonstrated these guys are cartoonishly fucking scummy and violent. I don't need you to illustrate that next step for me. I kind of can fill that in if required, but I don't really need that.
And you could have just finished with giving her the compliments. That's enough. That's a dirtbag sort of way. Like, that's enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And look, they put her in that situation a couple of times.
Yeah.
Because she comes out later and those dudes start the same shit up and then she calls out for Melvin and he turns up and they run off. I get what they were going for, but once again, you know, you're putting a blind woman who's what you would say would be vulnerable in these type of situations regularly. It's probably not really necessary.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of the failing of that character, right? Because like I said, they kind of... There's an element to that character that's really good. There's a really sweet relationship between these two people that comes together, but they consistently put her in that situation and they have the Mr. Magoo type elements to the character that, you know, I get a couple of laughs out of, but then there's parts of it where it's just like, oh, I don't know.
They just make her completely helpless. I found that uncomfortable too.
Yeah.
Like, just because the dog's gone, she's not going to be able to even walk home. And the reason that she can't see is the only reason that she's able to connect with the Toxic Avenger, you know? Like, it's all of that stuff is just like, it's awkward. It's really awkward.
It is a little bit awkward.
Yeah.
For sure.
Look, my last dislike also involves unnecessary violence, but to get a car to run some people over, you assault an old lady.
Yeah, they beat the shit out of her.
Oh, man.
I know.
But see, that one...
I was just like...
That was the one where I was like, again, you almost expect that. And it's... I don't think that's presented... I think that's presented in a way that is more, dare I say, comedic. There's elements of that scene that are funnier than what is shown in the other sequences, I feel.
Yeah, true.
And it's like, what worse could you do? I will say
that's the least offensive of all of them.
Yeah, what could you do? You know, you like I said, it's almost like a bingo card of what can we do with cartoonishly fucking scummy characters, and they tick every fucking one of them. So on the scale of it, that one was pretty low compared to the other ones, I felt.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, so any other dislikes from you guys?
I didn't see the need for him to be perpetually dirty all the time. By the time he's hooked up with the girl and Sarah, they're living their best life in the woods, he doesn't need to have smears of dirt all over his face.
No, I love it. Go for it.
He's instantly clean. His hands are instantly clean, though, after pulling the guts out of the deputy. Yeah. It was funny.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. It definitely... That's where the budget sort of stuff comes in, right? That it's just like... Toxie looks the one way the whole movie, basically.
Yeah.
I also had a bit of an issue with... I think the straight-out revenge tale elements worked far better than the whole political kind of real... Was it fucking real estate that they were going on about at one point? Like, I don't mind those characters on the periphery of kind of like the chase, you know, trying to hunt Toxie down, but it feels like the revenge angle wraps up a bit early and then we get stuck with that.
Yeah.
Where I feel like the revenge part should have been right up until the end, and then maybe you go with that whole, we're trying to hunt him down, and then the town comes into it. Because as you said previously, Adam, the whole town angle works pretty well. So I'm not necessarily saying get rid of that, but I just felt like the revenge parts of it, and as Matty said, you know, when he's popping up under the bench and that sort of stuff, they were the best parts. I felt when he was hunting down the guys that that treated him like shit, or just the random crimes in town, rather than that overarching political stuff.
Mm.
Well, the overarching political stuff is in total maybe about 5 minutes of screen time.
Yeah.
So it really wasn't that necessary, was it?
Well,
It felt like a bit of padding almost.
Yeah, I didn't mind it being there so much, but I just felt like when we're wrapping it up, shouldn't the guy that was fucking raging all the time, shouldn't he have been the one that was right
he
there
should be the
until
last
end?
guy.
Because it felt like they did him in with about 20 minutes to go or something. I can't. Maybe I'm off there,
Yeah.
but although that was a tidy
you're correct.
80 to 85 minutes, and we're all wrapped up. So that, I forgot to mention that one. That was a like. Don't overstay your welcome, Lloyd.
Definitely.
I didn't like that. I didn't like that scene in the car though, because I was like, I didn't understand why he would put himself in so much danger. But then when he pops out the top of the burnt out car, it looks like he does a cannon uppercut and just jumps out of this car that's like been in flames. It was pretty funny. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, no, I kind of thought similar early, but then when he was kind of laughing when the car was going over the edge, I was thinking to myself, oh, he's confident in his super strength that he's gained from the classic toxic waste prank that he was suggested to.
I didn't see the necessity to include a 12-year-old girl in there either.
Yeah, well, that line, just ditch the line, and that scene is the same, right?
Yeah.
You don't need to say anything about whatever he was saying. Oh, yeah, that was uncomfortable.
Take it to a Bowie concert.
Yeah.
12-year-old girl for $12, I think he says, doesn't he?
Yes. Yeah, that was kind of... Yeah, just stop. Stop with that shit.
Again, unnecessary, right? You could have just curbed that scene a little bit, and you wouldn't have needed... It wouldn't have felt so scummy.
Yeah.
Right? But, as you say, Troma's pushing boundaries. It's trying to... This was the era of making directed-video film, right? So, Troma were making their money on video cassette.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you get people to watch these video cassettes? You have fucking R-rated shit with all sorts of things in it that idiots like us want to get.
Yeah, but see,
I see why they press the boundaries.
Even my idiocy doesn't extend that far. Like, you can ditch those lines.
That's correct.
I would prefer you to ditch those kind of lines.
Yeah, agreed. I'm in the same boat. So anything else?
No, that's pretty much it for me.
Yeah, I think I'm covered. I couldn't help but think about the Incredible Hulk throughout the whole time.
Yeah. He did strike me as that, and he was growling a lot.
Yeah.
Except when he was putting on his kind of chocolate rain voice.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, that is the Toxic Avenger. You can find us on Podomatic, iTunes, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. Send us an email at thrillme@iinet.net.au. Like us on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia, on Podomatic at thrillme.podomatic.com, and on Instagram at thrillmepodcastau. Keep an eye on the Facebook page for details of the next film. But until then, take it easy, and we'll catch up with everyone later. Cheers. Find the podcast at Podomatic or on iTunes. Don't forget to rate and review. Like us on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia, or contact us at thrillme, all one word, all lowercase, at iinet.net.au.